Welcome to the Working Mom Rebellion podcast, where rage, rest, and rise all exist in the same breath. I'm your host, Alexis Starks. I'm a mom of two, a leader, builder, boundary setter, and unapologetically ambitious woman. This is the podcast for working moms who are done shrinking, done apologizing, and done pretending that we don't carry the weight of it all. Here we talk about the messy, powerful truth of building a career with babies, toddlers, and sometimes kids in the next room. This is real talk, real strategy, and real rebellion. Let's burn the old blueprint and build something better together. Hey, mama, if you have ever looked at your life and thought, I'm behind, or I should be further, I thought I'd be more successful, more organized, more everything by now, I want you to lean in. Because what if the truth isn't that you're behind? What if the truth is that you're just carrying more than most people will ever see and ever carry themselves, and yet you're still moving forward? This is not a setback. This is not a failure. This is pure resilience. So, welcome to this episode of the Working Mom Rebellion. We're going to rip off this perfection mask and get real about what it means to lead and grow and parent all at once. Now, there was a morning not long ago when my baby girl, she's now 1, but she had brutal reflux and until she was about 6 months old. And until I sleep trained her, she was up every hour, all night breastfeeding. And then when I went back to work, I was juggling Zoom meetings, project, anything needing for a project meetings, project deadlines, tasks, emails, Slack messages, all while my baby girl cried through the monitor because I dared to put her down for a nap or try to put her down for a nap instead of letting her contact nap. I mean, there was times where the night before we were up every single hour, all the time. It was brutal. I would be running on coffee and muscle memory. I mean, let's be honest though, I actually switched from coffee to Celsius energy drinks for a while because coffee just wasn't even cutting it. And I remember I would rock her in my arms to sleep in between calls, or I would be on a meeting just listening to the audio while rocking her to sleep. I would glance at my phone if I was taking a moment to relax. And I remember seeing LinkedIn posts where another woman that I knew, maybe she was also a mom, just had a massive promotion. And I remember my first reaction wasn't like, "Oh, that's great." It was shame. I thought that that used to be me. I used to be the one getting ahead. I used to be the one getting promotions after faster promotions. I used to be the go-to that everyone would go to for anything. And now I would just feel behind. I was so exhausted. I was still foggy. I was so stretched thin that I didn't feel like myself anymore. And even when I would look on Instagram and see other successful moms doing it all, like they even looked functional. They even looked like they showered, like they had energy. And I just didn't feel like myself. And I remember the voice in my head whispering, "You're falling behind." But it's truth bomb time. Let's be really clear. You're not behind. You're just carrying more, so much more than everybody else. So here's what that actually means. One, the mental load. What is that? It's all of the invisible planning, the remembering, the organizing, the anticipating, the thinking. Who's scheduling the pediatrician visit? For what day? Does it align with your schedules and your calendars? Who's remembering the school theme day? Who packs a diaper bag, organizes childcare, buys the birthday gift for your in laws? There's so much. How many clothes do you have that fit your kids now versus how many clothes will you need to buy because they're almost growing out of their shoes again? Or how many diapers of this size do we have left? And okay, they're growing out of this size 4 diapers. So now we got to think about getting the next size up of size 5. But there's only like a week's worth left of size 4 diapers. And she's probably not going to fit in this. Like it goes on and on. That's not just emotional labor, that's executive function. You are the project manager of your home and the team lead at work. That's 2 jobs minimum: project manager at home and a team member at work or a team leader at work. Number 2, your double shift. Sociologists call it the second shift. This is the unpaid labor that women, especially moms, take on after their paid job ends. This is when we're trying to perform at work like we're not moms and parent like we don't have a job, right? We're trying to do both. What is it? How does the phrase go? Work as if we're not also a mom and mom as if we're also not an employee. That's impossible. That's not sustainable. That's a setup. You have the double shift. It's really a triple shift, let's be honest, because your kids wake up early. My kids wake up at 6 a.m. 6 in the morning, my kids wake up, and I hear them on the monitors. And so I'm up and, we've got the whole morning routine, get them up. My daughter has a bottle and then we're navigating, no, we can't watch the TV yet, honey. Sorry, because my son wants to watch the TV. And, then we're getting breakfast ready. Then we're trying to brush our hair and brush teeth and get dressed. God forbid we put on pants instead of pajamas to go to daycare and eat something for breakfast, right? And then you finally have work, right? And it feels like when 9 a.m. hits and you drop the kids off at daycare, you've already been awake and doing things for at least 6 hours. And yet it's really only been maybe 3 hours. Right? And so then you have a whole day's worth of work when you've just expended all this energy already. Then you have a whole day's of work. And then after work, you pick up your kids from daycare or school. And then you have the whole evening of dinner time and relaxing. No relaxing, just getting playing and navigating crisis mode with your kids. Like all afternoon and evening, my daughter wants to take the toys that my son's playing with. My son wants to run around and hates what my daughter takes his toys, so he wants to hit, and so we're trying to teach him don't hit, and so it's this endless, like, managing these tantrums and crisis mode, and so that's exhausting, and then finally you get them down to bed, and maybe they had a bath, which is equally exhausting, and so there's this triple shift. It's called the double shift, but honestly, it's a triple shift, and so you're not just you're not underperforming at work. You are actually over functioning in broken systems that never accounted for working moms and caregivers in the first place. This system does not account for a triple shift. This work system, this corporate system, just accounts for you showing up at your job and doing your job as best as you humanly can. Otherwise, they'll find someone else who can. Right? They're not accounting that you have a whole morning with kids and a whole evening with kids. Okay, lastly, hustle culture. God, hustle culture fails moms. The world glorifies hustle. The world glorifies hustling to make millions and like you have to make money and have this fabulous life. But hustle was never built for someone whose 5 a.m. power hour involves feeding a baby instead of getting up at 5 a.m. to go work out, or whose 9 p.m. deep work session where you're working late at night to hustle and grow a business or hustle and working late at night for your company. But that actually means folding laundry or answering emails because you have to get to them because you couldn't get to them earlier because you have to pick up your kids from school and you're half asleep. Hustle culture rewards people who have support systems or stay at home partners. Let me say that again. Hustle culture rewards people who have support systems, like their grandparents or your parents are staying home and they live nearby, or you can afford daycare, or you've got family and friends, or a stay-at-home partner. It penalizes moms who are doing it all quietly, relentlessly, and without applause. So no, you're not behind. You're not broken. You're just operating at over full capacity in a world that refuses to admit how much you're holding. So here's what I want you to walk away with today. One, you're not behind. You're building in the margins. The stolen moments during nap time where the creative ideas you jot down in the notes app while you're breastfeeding, it's those little stolen moments. Maybe you do get to nap a 20-minute nap because your baby fell asleep for 20 minutes. Or you get to do a client pitch that you practiced in your car before daycare drop off. These things are not failures. This is innovation under pressure, where you get to make use of these small micro moments. I call it hyper productivity. I call it, as a mom, you learn to be extremely productive in very short periods of time. Two, slower doesn't mean stuck. Progress might not look like what it did before you had kids, but that doesn't mean it isn't happening. Brick by brick, you're building a foundation that will last. So moving slower does not mean failure, and it doesn't mean no progress. And it's okay that you have to move slower than you did before kids. Think how much you're doing. Think about how much you're holding. Think about all of the mental and physical and emotional labor you have tacked onto you than you did before kids. So you cannot compare yourself to your pre-kid self. That's just two completely different paradigms. And lastly, redefine your metrics of success. Ask yourself, what am I measuring myself against and why? If you're measuring yourself against pre-kid productivity, like I just said, and 25-year-old ambition or someone else's highlight reel on social media, you are always going to feel less than. So try this instead. Ask yourself, what would I say to a friend who felt this way? Would you tell her that she's lazy? No, you tell her that she's incredible. So Whether you want to write this down in a journal or just think about how you would answer this. What would you say to a friend who felt this way? What would you say to a friend who felt overwhelmed, who felt behind, who felt exhausted on a daily basis, and they just tried to do the bare minimum for the day of feed their kids and get their minimum amount of work done for the day and felt like they weren't able to progress their career? There will be a time where you can do more. There are different seasons of your life. This year will look different than it will next year. Think about it. When your baby is 6 months old, think about what your day to day looks like with them than it will when they're 2 years old, right? So, what would you say to a friend who felt this way? And let's start talking to ourselves that way. So, here's your micro mantra: I am not behind. I am building something bold, one beautiful, messy step at a time. All right, you guys. If this episode hits you in the heart, share it. Please share it. Share it with the mom who's questioning her worth after a hard day. Share it with the woman who thinks she's the only one struggling to keep up as a working mom. Let her know that she's not alone. This is more than just a podcast. This is a rebellion. And if you're ready to move forward from survival mode into strategic momentum, grab the Career Advancement Workbook link in the description. It is designed for working moms ready to rise. There's no fluff. It's just clarity, it's tools, it's reflections, and it's the next step to fit in your real life at your time. And if you actually want someone to help you untangle your next move, book a power hour with me. It's a 1 hour strategic brainstorm one-on-one coaching, and it is amazing. You'll walk away with a strategic plan, actionable steps to move forwards. Mama, this rebellion is just getting started. You don't have to move fast. You just have to keep going. And you've got this, and I've got you. Until next time. That's it for this episode of the Working Mom Rebellion. If it hit home, please share it with another working mom who needs to know that she's not alone. And if you're ready for real support, for power strategy hours, for digital workbooks, and a truth that doesn't sugarcoat it, click the link in the show notes for more. Until next time, rage, rest, and rise. You don't have to do it all, just what matters.